clarity on that. Professor Ojienda.
Chair, I just wanted to add, I note the issues you have set out for Governor. I think my bigger concern, and I just wanted to note this, Governor, as you exit, that it's a very glaring concern that if you look at your schedule of on-source revenue, for instance, parking fees has gone down from 98,551,263 to 113,548. What is wrong? And number two, property fees, and I know that a lot of properties you have set out, you have leased out to private entities to collect rent, has gone down from 20,447 to 2022 to 6 million. What is happening? Much as you've grown revenue to 2.7 billion, some of those concerns are so glaring, given that market, for instance, you have new markets. Why would you be having, market fees has gone down to 56 million from the 60 million the previous year. I think these are just concerns that are highlights that should be of concern to you as governor as you exit, so that at least we have, clearly some of these financial streams should be going up, given the fact that there are property developments in Kisumu that are live, that are going up. So there's no reason why they are collecting less when last year they are collecting more. There's no reason why there are no cars in Kisumu when I know there are more, and parking fees 113,000 and it was 98 million. Where is the 97 million? Where is this money?
Yeah. Okay, Professor Ojienda has gone to the receiver of revenue report. It was part of our agenda for today. I think he was apprehensive that the meeting is ending without us having looked at the ROR. But we'll make one or two comments on ROR before we close, over and above the specific questions that he has fielded. Senator Wambua?
Chair, very briefly on the issue of the executive report, I have just three issues because you said we try and shed some light. One, Governor, first things first, you cannot have people preparing your financial statements who are inactive in their profession and they're not in good standing in their own profession. Because, I mean, what do you expect? If you cannot take care of your own professional obligations, then how will you take care of county issues? Whatever administrative action you decide to take on those ones, I will actually I will actually recommend, Chair, that perhaps these two should not prepare those documents that are brought before us, because they have put us in a lot of mess. Secondly, on the issue of trade payables, let's have a proper document that is even aged so that we can have a proper engagement on who is it that is owed how much money by the county, what is the payment plan. I had the CC giving us a percentage of achievement of a payment plan. I would rather he gives us an achievement, a percentage of the total owed amount, how much of the total owed amount has been paid and who has been paid for what services delivered. Lastly, Chair, is on the issue of staff obligations. Now, perhaps this is where we should draw the line. You see, Professor Governor, when I look at the cumulative monies owed to employees from Love Fund and Love Trust, it's almost 500 million Kenya shillings. And there's no explanation for it. It's just a figure that comes to us. There's no explanation to what's happening and why it is happening. Whatever it is that we do, Governor, and I am praying God that a few months from today I may be seated where you are seated from Kitui. Whatever it is that we do, let's just be humane. Let's just do. I never understand why any entity, whether county or national, would deduct money from people, and that money at retirement does not help those people. It's actually robbery for those people. That's what it is, and it's not right. I thank you.
Chair, maybe since we are doing in a few, maybe on receiver of revenue, one quick one. I have seen, Governor, the revenue potential of Kisumu. I can see there was an increment in the previous year of 1.5 billion. It went to 2.7 billion in 24-25, up from 23-24, with significant drop that Professor Ojienda has alluded to. And it is, you should be able to tell us why that sudden drop in some of those items on this receiver of revenue report. Number one. Number two, what is the status of the, we did pass FIF, Facility Improvement Act. You should tell us whether your systems in the hospitals have been automated. And then finally, the revenue potential of on-source revenue, and I know your people know, under CRA should be 28.2 billion, considering this a city county, but you are only collecting 2.7 billion. What is this massive shortfall of close to 26 billion that we are missing the target? And I know there are many revenue streams that the CRA, Commission of Revenue Allocation, the revenue streams had been maximized. Because, for example, Governor, in conclusion, if, for example, you are seeing parking fees dropping from 98 million, in fact, it dropped from 22-23, it was 99.4 million. In 2023-24, it dropped by 1 million to 98.5 million. But in 2024-2025, it came down to 113,548 shillings. That is a drop of almost 97 million. Yeah. So in correlation with the biggest figure of 28.2 billion, what do we have to say? Because most of the revenue streams in this year under review have dropped, yet the CRA potential gives you a 28.8 billion. I know they might have overestimated, but the practicability of collecting more than 2.7 billion is very high if all these revenue streams are being properly looked at, and maybe touch something with FIF. And finally, Chair, because we are on receiver of revenue, there was also the issue of valuation role. What is the status of the valuation role that will assist you to maximize some of these revenue streams so that you can be able to collect more and be able to do some of this payment, including managing whether the wage bill or the trade payables or the pending bills as is known. Chair, and on development expenditure, maybe you can touch something, because I can see you are only doing 17% of development expenditure. What is the basis of this? Because comparing to wage bill, Chair, it stood at 63%, the wage bill, which means there is a significant use on recurrent expenditure. I know under United Nations, through the Chair, human capital has been defined as also part of development. But coming from that, what is the basis of this 63% on the wage bill vis-a-vis 17% on development expenditure? So that I know your argument could be you inherited a lot of employees from municipalities that were there, and therefore you could not fire anybody. You had to retain them for some time. But how are you going to handle this? And I hope Professor Ojienda is noting some of these questions, because if he intends to be the governor of Kisumu City County, these are some of the questions that may roll over to the next financial year. Chair, I yield back.
Okay, you've asked questions that cut across the ROR and the executive report. And since Professor Ojienda brought us into the ROR conversation, maybe we start with the ROR ones very quickly. Even though PBO, you want to comment about parking fees?